Well, hi, good morning. Thanks so much for joining me here in my shop. Today is July 12th, and look at what is on my bench. Holy smokes. This is a real classic radio. I'm almost nervous to mess around with this guy. This is a wonderful radio. So this has come to me from a person who gave me another radio to repair, and when I finished the other radio, he handed me this and said, see if you can do anything about this guy. So one thing I've done is I cleaned him up. He was pretty dusty and dirty, been in the closet for quite a while. So there's a number of problems with this radio I've spotted right off the bat. I've done some preliminary inspection of it. I've had the back off and looked inside just to make a basic judgment as to whether I should really attempt to do anything with this radio. And the answer is yeah, I should attempt to do some stuff with this radio for sure. I'll be showing you a few of the problems I've already noted in it. One of the things I really want to find out is, does it work at all? One of the extremely unique features of this particular radio is a motor driven preselector. So this part up here, although you can manually tune it, it has a motor which will drive it to tune. Now, this is like the front end of the radio tuning, which in most radios is all just hooked up to one knob. So one knob tunes everything. But in this radio, the main tuning knob tunes the later stages of the radio, and this tunes the earlier stages automatically. So I'm really quite curious about how does all that work, and does it work in here. This is one of the, there's a series of radios that look like this. I actually own one of the later versions of this radio, and this whole part is done away with in the later version. But it looks very similar. I've had it in my shop. I had terrible problems, not terrible, I shouldn't say that. On my later version of this radio, the speaker volume suddenly went 100% and couldn't be controlled, no matter what I did. I had it in my shop, fiddled around with it, couldn't sort it out. I ended up just disabling the speaker by simply plugging, in the case of my radio, can't do it with this one, I just plugged in a speaker, just plugged in a headphone type jack with nothing, with no wires, just cut the speaker off. And then on my radio at the back, this one doesn't seem to have it. Oh, maybe here. I have these outputs, and so I can take a signal out. The thing about my radio is, after sitting around for 6 months, I took it out on my deck about 2 weeks ago, and when I turned it on, it all worked perfectly fine. Volume control, speaker, everything. So it's one of those, hey, over the course of my life, I've had a number of things just fix themselves right in front of me without me ever knowing what happened. So was the case with that radio. So what are we going to do with this one? Obviously, first is a fairly thorough inspection. The owner did provide this power cord with it. This is your standard kind of power cord, but it's no way is it supposed to go in this radio. It's just not right at all. So that's not happening, and the battery cover plate is missing, which means if you put a load of batteries in here, they're just going to fall right out. There's a smaller battery holder here for some penlight batteries, AA batteries, and that's probably for powering the microprocessor, probably this. There's probably a clock in here. So this is called the Grundig Satellit Professional 650. Well, then it's got some German here. Siefen Klausenzug. I don't know what that is, of course. General coverage up to, I think, 30 megahertz, 30, looks like 30 is the top. So it's basically the shortwave band. AM and FM, of course. Why don't we just take a look at the switches on the front here and whatnot, and get a little more familiar with the radio. There we go. So it has an on-off switch. Now there's no power, so nothing's going to happen. So 3 settings. So I'm going to guess this is, I think that's off, that's on, and this might be light. There's a little dot here. So maybe that means a light. Headphones, obviously. I have a switch here for switching external speaker It's got two little speakers. Must be a external speaker, internal speaker, and both. If you wish. This is a spring-loaded. Check for the battery power. Probably maybe on this meter or maybe up here. And down to turn the lights on. So being a battery-operated radio, often the lights are operated with a switch because you don't want the lights on all the time, or that's where your batteries will go. So interesting. This has what looks like German to me and English. So volume, bass, treble, bandwidth control. So the bandwidth control is probably affecting the IF bandwidth, but I don't know offhand. We have an AM RF gain control, switch for AFC, automatic gain control, AGC, get it right, or AVC, it might be called AGC here. And then you can operate it manually. Great advantage to having a manual RF control on your shortwave radio. Great advantages over using the automatic gain control. Lower sideband, AM, upper sideband. It's kind of interesting to put AM in the middle. Okay, and the last control is something stuck on it there. BFO, single sideband clarity. Sometimes on some radios this control is called a clarifier. So what this is really doing is helping you reinsert a carrier, in a sense, for your radio to develop the proper audio frequency signal, so you can listen to people talk with only a sideband coming to your radio, a single sideband. Good for ham radio use. Okay, that's the main cross here. Let's go up a level. Date, time, frequency, and a display mode. So it must be mode of the display, and it could be show the date, the time, or the frequency. Direct key input, no doubt you're typing in the frequency you want. Recall, must be memories inside here, digital memory. So this radio, I wonder when this one was actually made. Couldn't tell you offhand. Probably early 80s, but I'm not sure at all. So it must be some memories in there. Set, must be more memories being set here. Excuse me. On time, off time, so that's for turning the radio on and off. Set, maybe this is for setting the date and time. Occasionally you have to set it. That's probably frequency input. Frequency. Maybe it's frequency. I have a tuning control here. I already know this is a weird guy here. So you can see what's moving up above. And I mentioned this is motor driven, but it's also manually operated. And then this is the tuning dial for the radio, I believe, because there's nothing moving. So I think the radio is basically a digital radio, and it has that magnetic feel to it. This one, no. This one feels like a string. And without, until you discover it, this is a lock and unlock button, or on and off button of some sort. Probably having to do with the motor drive for this. This is DF aerial, DF and BC. So maybe this is a German short form that I'm not familiar with. DF aerial. Looks like the kind of thing you'd put in for fairly high frequency type antenna work. I don't know what that is. Broadcast, BC? Not sure what this is. Okay, now, next. Obviously we have the meter here. It says on it battery right there. So sometimes this is the battery meter, and then it has ACCU, ACCU, ACCU. Don't know what that is below. Tuning, battery, dot control. Computer controlled tuning system. And the Sieben Sachenklassenbuch. I shouldn't laugh, but we have a bunch of buttons here. These are the band buttons: auxiliary, long wave, medium wave, short wave, and FM. Buttons seem quite fine. Then up here is nothing to adjust, just the bands. There's, gotta get, you know, I'm standing up this high, or looking down at it, and much of the bands are just out of view up here. This is definitely put it high up on your table and sit low. Or you gotta tilt this back all that way to see the top band. Long wave, medium wave, short wave, Rundfunk band, amateur band. Oh, that's interesting. Amateur band. So I've got some of these bands have two scales on them, a megahertz and a meter band. So if we look at the amateur band, it says 1.9 megahertz. Below it says 160. So there's no precision up here at all. The precision has to come on here to know what frequency you're really tuned to. You're not going to figure it out from this. And since this is just a preselector, it's not extremely selective anyway. There are real selections going on, I think, in other tuned circuits. Or let me put it this way: using the local oscillator, shifting the frequency and sending it through the IF is really where the tuning, the sharp tuning, is coming from, I think. Sticker up here, Qantas. So I'm just assuming the owner put that on there, but maybe not. Maybe this is, I don't know, what would Qantas have to do with this radio? But why would somebody put a sticker like that on it? So maybe this came with it new. Up on the top here, this is a throwback to these classic large radios, large portable radios that existed 20, 30, 40 years before this, where they included a map like this, and then usually a table of frequencies or something just like that. A little bit of information here. Satellite, phase lock loop synthesizer, direct tuning, 60 preset functions, dual conversion, that's good, a BFO for single sideband, two-way speaker box. Must be two speakers in here. Probably a large one for the lower tones, and then probably a small tweeter somewhere in there. Okay. So I believe with these radios in really good shape, are worth a lot of money. So I got that in mind too. The last thing I want to do is any damage to this. If it's beyond me to bring this guy back, it's not beyond other people. So I'm not here to destroy this thing. That's for sure. But I'm certainly going to go a distance into it and see what I can do with it. Just go once around. So the antenna up here is missing entirely. It appears to be missing. Maybe it's broken. Maybe it fell in. I don't really know. I can't imagine it falling in. And as I mentioned before, these well, maybe there isn't a cover here, but this cover is missing, which is pretty important. So there's some words in here. What does it say? Grundig dry fit batteries type 476. So it looks like you can buy a battery pack, just like some kind of a unit in a pack. So then here it shows the 6, what are probably D cells. A little bit of corrosion in here. So that indicates a leaky battery probably, or a battery emitting corrosive gas for some period of time. But these contacts they don't look corroded at all. Something further inside. So I would not attempt to power this up in any way, even though you might be able to with that battery, with those battery connections. And the reason is because I already know a little bit more about what's inside here. And let's go take a look. See if I can remember how to get in. It's really easy on these if you remember. I think it starts with some screws on the bottom here. just these three. Let's take them out. So these radios were designed by some of the top radio designers. I think a couple of guys late in their careers who wanted to make a modernized version of an older styled radio. I think is kind of what they had in mind. Older style, meant big. This definitely qualifies as big. And big and beautiful. I guess be the name of this. The functions in this radio today you can buy in a little tiny radio, of course. Tiny radio. But to some degree, some of the fun power disappears when the radio gets really small. I find. Okay, I'm going to take away my table here, and we're going to work right on the bench. Now this one comes with these panel handles. But actually these are really helpful because you can do this quite safely with the radio. Okay, let's go up a little bit. So now the camera is showing you pretty much what I'm seeing. The camera's at about my eye level. So I took those screws out. That's alright, look, it's coming apart. Can it get any easier than that? Look at that. Holy smokes. Right off. Easy. 3 screws and it's off. Nothing special inside there. Whoa! Jim! Jeepers, I put my turntable on the floor behind me there like a dummy. I almost stepped on it and went for a ride there. Would have made a good video, but I would have been off camera. Wow, look inside this. Let's look inside this. Sit like that too. Oh, it smokes. So, first thing, it is not packed, jammed with stuff. You can actually look inside here. What is this? Going on here. This is a fuse somebody has soldered in. Okay, don't know if that's original. There's a couple more fuses here. Now this is my second time into this. So the fuse holder here, first time in, was popped out partially. The back of the fuse holder is broken off. The fuse itself was rolling around inside there, which I shook out, and I don't know where it is now, but it's just a regular small fuse. So this fuse, no doubt, is related to the power line coming in when you plug this in to the power line. It's got 2. What's that? This, what? Yeah, let's see. I didn't notice that before. 10 to 16 volts. 10 to 16 volts here, and here it's obviously 120 AC. So we could push 10 to 16 volts in here, but we have another alternative too, which is to put the power in through the battery tabs, and perhaps this may be exactly the same as this. 10 to 16. So this is supposed to run with 6 batteries. Well, that's only 9 volts. 10 to 16. But only 9 from the batteries. Okay, that's just curious to me. So this was also hanging loose here. I'm the one who screwed it back in. An extra screw. The last time I had this open. This is the selector switch for whether you're in Europe or North America based on the power. This was hanging loose. and off the back of it, can you see this white wire here? It's either broken off, it appears to be cut off from the back of this. Broken fuse holder, no fuse. This wire cut. This wire, I know from a little bit of investigating, goes straight to the power transformer, which is located inside this area. How come that's cut off? So something's happened here, and I don't know what. And that's it. This is about as far as I went with this radio. I didn't go really any farther with it, I don't think. So if we look at the tuning system here, I'm just getting familiar with what's inside the radio, kind of the big pieces of it. So obviously you've got the 3-section capacitor here. Now I don't think this is part of the preselector, so there's an awful lot of stuff getting tuned here. 3 stages. One of these is going to be the local oscillator. There's also these, which I'm pretty sure is tuning for something. Maybe let me turn the tuning control here. Well, of course, it's electronic. Here we go. Okay, so this is the preselector. Okay, so let me take it back. This is the preselector tuning. 1, 2, 3 stages. Probably, well, one's going to be the antenna. There's probably a front end amplifier. Then there's probably a tune stage after that. And then you're into the mixer maybe, and maybe there's another tune stage just before the mixer. Now you can see this apparatus going back and forth. These are slugs going in and out of coils, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Or is this a coil being slid over a slug? I don't know for sure. These look like slugs going into a coil, but this has got a pretty big piece here coming up. Would they actually do that? Slide the coil? I can't imagine why they would choose to do that. And this is motor driven. Somehow, where's there a motor? So in the front tuning control, the thing I've been turning here, there was that button in the middle, and I can see what it's operating now. It's operating the switch right here. I guess there's some mechanical action in there too, but I don't see any. Maybe it switches on and off the motor drive. And where's the motor? There's the motor right there. There's a belt running through the motor here. Looks like there's a tension wheel or something right there. And it's driving this big white piece. And there's strings off of the white piece here, which are conveyed over to the tuning capacitor. Don't break those strings under any circumstance. Do not break the strings. There's various plugs between boards. These kinds of things always worry me from a contact point of view, but I don't think they present too much trouble. Trouble's more likely in those other band switches. Where are they? Band switches. So the band switches right up in front, either part of this. Yeah, I can feel the switches moving. I have my fingers on them, on the buttons, I can feel them moving around a bit. So this looks like, wow, I don't know what to make of this. What is this? If this is the preselector, this must be all the front end stuff down here. And inside, this whole thing is closed. It's enclosed. It's enclosed with a pile of holes for putting tools through, I'm pretty sure, for doing adjustments in it. Look at them all. Oh boy. Looks like you can pop the top off this pretty easily, if you had to. Some adjustments down in here, and here, and here, here, and here. Lots and lots of adjustments. Could be some fine adjustments even up in these things, maybe. Adjusting the position of the slug, refining the position of the slug. Not sure what this can is here. Here's some heat sinks here. So it's near the power supply, so this is probably voltage control devices, and maybe under certain circumstances they dissipate a fair bit of power. They throw away a fair bit of power in these heat sinks. Maybe like on the input here it says 10 to 16, maybe at 10 these things are cool, and at 16 these guys get hot. If you were to actually do that, use that. Generally speaking, everything looks to be in pretty good shape, except I'm quite worried about this fuse thing here. I don't understand why this is here. Mind you, the fuse had fallen out of the fuse holder. Is this? I can't believe the fuse positioned here could be replaced here. I just don't believe it. This is something else. I don't even know if this is blown or not. So this looks like somebody did this to the radio. There's not too much else to see here before I start monkeying around with it. Is there any reason why I wouldn't try powering this guy up? So what's going through my head? Here's the antenna. Tape on it. Usually these antennas have very, very fragile wires coming from them that can easily get mucked up. And often they're locked in by rubber bands. Look, rubber bands. These rubber bands often are cracked hard, and they fail. They just break away, and sometimes a rod like this will fall out and start flopping around, tugging on its wires, and can lead to problems. Okay, now can the front come off? What's going on the front here? Let's take a look again. Looks like these knobs would have to come off. Ooh, come off real easy. How about that? Now that knob got some kind of special trick to it. So I look for a screw. No screw. Can you just pull it off? Oh. Is that off? Oh, that's off. That's off. Okay. I guess this one must come right off too. Good show. Is there anything else? Can this just come off now? Is there anything else that's gonna hold it back? I don't think so. So what's holding it on? That's the next question. I'm assuming this is gonna come off. Looks like it's just nothing. Maybe there's some screws. Just look. Feels pretty loose. I think I see something up in there. And, oh, so that's the screw holding these handles on the front. Far around, so it comes all the way to here. This is a piece of the front here. Looks like when I took the screw out, not only is it catching this top part that comes down, it's also going through the bottom part, all held into the. Looks like there's an internal plastic, firm, like a heavy-duty chassis in here, I guess we could say. So this is just going to pop right off. Pop, 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 pop. Screws in here. No. screws. Any instructions? Made by Grundig in Portugal. Grundig Satellit. Some other numbers, symbols, maybe trade symbols or something. Okay, I'll get this off now. Sometimes they hide screws under stickers. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Well, there's no screw under there. Maybe I'm just going to pull this right off for now. And we'll set it aside, stick it on later, much later. Okay. Not really okay. Just quite anxious about making a mess of this. So how's it? Insides comes out, outside comes off. Oh my gosh, can it get any easier? Oh my gosh, look at that. Just slides right out. There's nothing. Oh. So what's happened here? So the plastic window from the front has dropped off. One of them. Okay, no secrets of any sort back here. Wow, okay, so there it is. There it is exposed for all to see. Let's see all. This is probably the motor. That's the magnetic wheel here, and that's the pickup for the magnetic tuning. Oh, look at the speaker. No surprise here. Look at that. So the surround is completely gone on this speaker. It's disappeared. It is really gone. There's the little speaker. Seems just fine. This might still make noise. This might still make sound, but you know, it's not going to be what it's supposed to be. There's a little light bulb right there. Looks like maybe another light right in there. Not too much else on the front and was already visible. Okay, you know what? I'm not seeing anything here that's really making me think we can't power it up. Let's look at. Oh, no, I gotta be careful on how I set this. I can still flip it right up on its side. So the reason I flipped it up is to take a closer look at that transformer situation here. Here's the transformer right here. Here's the white wire. It looks like it's cut clean. That's the thing. There's no metal sticking out here. Like somebody cut it. And I noticed, you know, because I have looked at this, I noticed these two solder spots appear a little different than the rest. Now that doesn't guarantee anything, but is there a chance that this transformer got changed out? Or there's a problem in this transformer? They blew the fuse and somebody cut this wire to ensure it never works again. And look at this dark spot here. What's up there? So you know what? That's exactly where those heat sinks were. One of them. There's three of them. 1, 2, 3. There's one right in here. So something in here is getting pretty hot sometimes. That's, you know, if this radio's been on for a long time, a low temperature is going to do that, or a relatively low temperature. If it's just funny, these boards don't line up 100% here. Doesn't mean anything, but it's just a little odd that they would not lay flat. This one might be bent up a little bit. I don't think it means anything. You know, I'm making lots of observations that in the end just don't mean anything. all kinds of release clips here, of all sorts. Something's getting released. The board's being released out. So you can work all these and maybe drop the board out if you want. So there's a chance these guys are really only active when it's plugged in the wall, and they have a bigger job to do, working with the power supply that's coming from the wall. And maybe if you feed 18 volts into here, or 16, again, they might be working a little hard at controlling the voltage. But my guess is when you run this radio on batteries, because the batteries are a fixed voltage, there's not much risk of the wrong voltage being applied. There's not much need to put in protection or control on the supply voltage. So my guess is you can feed in 9 volts here and this radio is going to work fine. As long as you can feed in 9 volts safely. This looks a little tugged. Looks like it's been tugged back. We'll leave it back. The green corrosion. Green corrosion's just way up in here. Oh, I see what's going on. So this is where you put a couple of the two AA batteries, and so it looks like, as you wouldn't be surprised, the AA batteries have been forgotten about, left in the radio for a long time, and leaked. And it still feels really good though. So whatever material these are made of, and this one's probably the same, even though it has green on it, I don't think they themselves have corroded. You'd have to explain where the green is from corroding copper. There's no two ways about that. So what can we do here? You know, we can stick a couple batteries in here and see what happens. And then from there we can think about powering it up with this. As for what's going on out here, don't know, but I would not make any attempt at powering this up. With this wire cut, it's kind of hopeless. And unless I study up on the schematic, and I've seen the schematic for this guy, study up is right, I don't think I would fool with this until I know what this white wire is all about and the like. And now, I don't know if you can hear it, I certainly hear it. My cat crying outside my door. I want to go outside. Okay, I want to go outside too. I think I'll stop and entertain my cats for a minute, and when I come back, I'll stick some batteries in here and think about powering this up and see if this radio works at all. This radio down here. Okay, let's go see cats. Okay, there's a couple of batteries here. Let's just make sure they're good before I get fooled. It's like new. This one's a little bit weaker. No, it's good. Both good. Okay, now is there anything I should think about before I do this? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's stick them in there. So this would essentially be on all the time. As soon as I put these in, we're going to find something out. Oh my gosh, those don't come exploding out now. There, that's better. Okay, did anything happen here? Ooh, look at these strings. Fingers away. Oh, strings on the side. Let's just take a look at this. Where's the danger zone here? Strings on the side here. Grab them. Don't break the strings. Jim, hey, look at that. Wow, okay, that's a good start. That's a big step forward right there. Excellent. Now I got to put some power to this. I think the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to use this supply here, and we'll there's not going to be a lot of current involved, I don't think, even though it's a big radio. I can't imagine it's going to I'm thinking about, is it going to melt my cord? I just don't think so. Okay. Now, set this to volts, flip it on, advance it to 9, up to 9, just below 9. Okay, switch it off. 9 is right, isn't it? Now I'll spin this guy around. Now just before, let's just take a look at this back here. Make sure of something. So there's 2 rows of batteries making contact here. Almost certainly this is plus and this is minus. Once in a while, oh, it's falling out here. Well, I don't know what that is. Yikes. Put this over here with the knobs. Fell out of here, but it must have fallen out of the radio first. Okay, so we were looking at this. Yeah, it's just one piece of metal. Once in a while it's not one piece of metal and something's going on, but that's not the case. Okay, and one of these is plus and one is minus. Did they write it right on there? There's a plus and a minus right there. Excellent. I have these plugged in. The red is the plus. Now, this supply is turned off right now, so there's no power coming in. Better clip here like this. Okay, now what's going to happen here? What is going to happen? So, you need to be sure of the volume control and a few other things. Before I leave this right up here for reference. Volume control down, turn up a little bit. Bass in the middle, treble in the middle. Bandwidth control should be, I guess, wide, so that's wide. This is the AVC, keep it on. This is AM, this is AM, USB, LSB, so in the middle is AM, this is loose. This is probably supposed to be tightened here, and the last one is the BFO. The BFO won't really matter for now. I'm going to keep this up here. On-off switch. So we think it's off. Again, the power is switched off over there. I think it's off, on, and I'm thinking that's lights. Turn it off. Speaker control is external. That would be internal. That would be this. Battery, automatic noise limiter. So on has to be down, I guess. Won't matter whether that's on or off. I think we're set. Oh, which band are we on? How do you pick a band? How do you pick a band? How do you pick a band? Pick a band with these. We'll pick the medium wave band. I think we can tune it with this. Is everything ready? I think it is. Okay, switch on the power here. Verify 9 volts, slightly less. 6 batteries, 9 volts, no doubt. A moment of truth. Volume control up just a bit. Here we go. Not a lot has happened. They've been wrong about this, what this switch does. Let's go another step. Oh, did you see that? Hey, radio is working. What was that? Turn the volume down a bit. So this is now showing the frequency. Wasn't it showing the time a moment ago? It's showing the frequency now, so I think it's automatically changed. 640. Ooh, what happened there? 640. Let's see what kind of current this is drawing right now. 640. It's still on 9 volts. And it's drawing 100 milliamps. Okay. 100 milliamps. I think that would drain your batteries awfully fast. Here's another piece that's out of here. At least it's on my bench. I don't know where it came from. This looks like it's been cut. Don't know what it is. Put it over here. So now it's got a loop antenna. It could just be aimed wrong. 640 is a station we can normally pick up. Let's see what we get. You know, I'm going to put the turntable under here. Strings. Oh, works better with the turntable. Just getting close to my equipment, I guess. Messing it up. Come on, anybody? Aha! Thumbs up. So 590 is a slightly better station. Oh man, I have to turn this a lot. Ooh, what happened there? How did it get down to 510 so quickly? So this thing has a speed spotter on it where if you turn this quickly, I think it figures out that it needs to move the frequency quickly, like you're spinning the dial. And when you're just turning it at a regular speed, this becomes a fine, like automatic fine and coarse tuning. I think that's what's going on. 590. Oh, that's not a very thrilling for a radio like this. Speaker makes sound anyway. With the speaker cone totally open like this, there'll be just zero bass response out of this. It's going to always sound like it sounds now. But I think these radios are known for having really good sound. And not like that. Well, that's great. Now, what about this automatic tuning thing? Where is this set? This is set. So we're on the medium wave. We're down around. We're at 590. We're down here, but the pointer's way up there. So there's this, what I assume is an on-off switch, and I'm going to guess it turns on and off the motor drive. So I think the motor drive's off, so I can tune it by hand. Oh yeah. Ha. Ha ha ha. So in a sense, I'm aligning the radio when I do that. Now, let's just take a guess here. Turn this on. It changed a bit. This went down a bit. Did something move up here? Now I think if we tune the radio, this thing will automatically move its way up band. Let's see what happens here. That's cool. Look how it waited until this was stable, because then it knows I've stopped tuning, and then it goes up there. So we stopped at 845, and this is now sitting at medium wave 8, about 910, so it's gone a little high. So not really, watching the pointer. 845, but it's above 9 here. So how this actually works, how it knows enough the motor drive to move this, I'm not sure. Is it finding the area of strongest signal? I don't think so, because it must know where I've tuned to. Like when I tune this up to say, go up here, and it has to have some notion that I've tuned this in. Somehow it's doing this. Somehow it's definitely doing this. A million. So yeah, a million's way back here. It's way off, according to this. Yet. So there's something funny going on here. The radio does not seem to be lining up with this dial, yet the radio is working properly and seems to be finding the right spot, tuning-wise or strength-wise. Let's get off AM. Let's go to FM. Let's give it the FM go here. So FM, now do I have an FM antenna? So let's look at that antenna deal. So the antenna is supposed to be here. Here's part of it. There it is. Oh, sorry. I just popped this up and out of here. I just popped it up. So the rest of it is missing. There's a spring ball here. Looks like it's something that would... No, that must lock in. That's what that is. That's to lock it in. Lock it in. It won't lock in. Pretty sure that's what that spring ball is for, though, to snap this down. So the antenna is missing. Where's the antenna wire connection? There it is. It's just out of view, right here. Okay, so this is the antenna for FM. Now augment it here, just with this piece of wire. Give it a fighting chance. Need another clip lead. I'll just clip this up in the sky here. I have a sky hook, and we'll use it. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's try FM. Here we go. Oh, sounds good. It says 87. 87 is going to be at one end. Must be the Run Funk band. Where's 87 on here? Amateur. Shortwave, medium wave, long wave. Where's the FM? Oh, maybe this doesn't do anything on FM. That's probably what it is. So there's no reason to have the FM dial up here. It's just all this. That's what it's got to be. Okay, 91.5.
You can reach me on Twitter at CBCKD. Catherine, it's Catherine McKay. Catherine.Beautiful at cbc.ca.
But 91.5 is where this should be.
Has a similar feel, at least for the first few hours. And she's also the co-author of a new book
titled Reckoning Journalism's Limits and Possibilities. And we've reached Professor Candace Collison this morning at her home
That's a
in
CBC.
Vancouver. Welcome to the Sunday edition.
Thank you.
So when we
Beautiful.
say objectivity, what do we mean?
Well, that's a really good question. Objectivity really emerged from the sciences and from conversations that were happening in that sphere well before it moved over to journalism. And journalism, it really emerges in the 1920s as a way to make journalism credible, to legitimize what the profession was becoming. You know, it's 100 years since then. So what does objectivity mean now? Now it means more like the view from nowhere. And, that's one of the things that we really push against in this new book I have with my colleague, Mary Lynn Young, where we talk about how objectivity has also been, the default view, which for newsrooms has mostly been coming from white men up until recently, which, we began to have a lot more women in the newsroom, but
Still a bit of base in there.
Black journalists, people of color, have not necessarily been represented in the newsroom.
You call or define objectivity.
Still, it sounds like even though the speaker cone, the surround is missing, the speaker cone is still centered properly. There's a spider, a technique for positioning the cone that's still doing the job just in behind here. So, maybe there's a chance I can do something to seal this back up and not wreck the operation of the speaker. I might be able to repair this.
Everyone comes from somewhere.
That's fantastic. This radio's working.
Good methods for evaluating evidence, for establishing facts. But
Next thing
in
has to
terms
be
of
a
thinking that
little
you can
listen on
adopt a
shortwave.
view that doesn't include where you come from.
We'll make that the last step. Now, for an antenna, I could just continue with this piece of wire.
Shorthand all the time to describe
Let's just do that.
and
We'll see how that works out. I mean, conceivably, this is a very, very sensitive radio. So we want to pick a shortwave band. We would pick this button, shortwave. Oh, so this came back to life. All right, 7.7 megahertz. This time of day, might pick up some stuff around 7.3. Oh wow, it's really fast if you spin this dial. It's almost too fast. Somewhere in here. It's very uncomfortable tuning because this button, because of the magnetic tuning, it doesn't feel so good in the hand. Yeah, the bigger dial wouldn't be so bad. Nobody there. Okay, not surprising. Let's try this. We'll go up to 15 megahertz. Now on my other radio, which is a more recent version of this, it's quite different, right? I'm sure. But we'll just type in the frequency and wait, and it will go there. Doesn't seem to be going there. It's waiting for me. Okay, there's a button here called frequency. Let's push it. Ha! Auto preselector. So it's indicating the auto preselector is on. But if I push this button, I bet you that goes off. Yep, the little sign goes off. So we're at 15 megahertz now. And we're hearing nothing. Again, not too surprising, but we might get some stuff above 15 here. What happened there? It seemed to... Oh, when this thing moves, it makes sound. That's why they have the switch here, so you can disable it while you're fooling around. It's probably a preselector, range. You can tune around within a range from where this is. So 140. Whoops. I kind of don't like this automatic. Anybody, somebody. Something going on in this. digital. What happened? Where'd it go? Oh! Oh, I turned it on and off, did I? What did I do here? Look, it's gone nuts. What did I do? What happened there? Sound is back. Well, there's something going on. Not sure what that is. I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to put a much better antenna on this and see if we can't hear something out of it, and that'll be the end, I think, for today. So there's definitely something odd going on here, because as I tune the radio, it goes from sounding like it's not very sensitive to receiving stuff like this. So I think I've tuned outside the range of the preselector. Start there. I'm going to switch with the external antenna, outdoor antenna I should say. Not tremendously different, is it? It's when I bump this. Oop, 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 oop. Make no sudden moves. I don't know. Okay, so 15140, there's usually something there that could be heard. So now it's gone into this not so loud state. I think it's just a mechanical button problem. What were these three again? This is a speaker. No, I don't. Battery and automatic noise limiter. Look at that speaker. It's not the dirty volume control. We're going to give it the classic whack. I think it's something digital that's going on. That's just the impression I've got. It's not a mechanical contact type thing happening. It's something deep within this radio's mind. Let's go see if we can find anything here. It's got 9 volts coming to it. Maybe this button. Doesn't seem to be the case. Yeah, didn't I just say I think it's electronic? Okay, let's go down where we should pick something up. Somewhere around here. What's happening? Don't think it's receiving properly right now. Okay, so it's in a state, I think it's in a bad state. Let's turn it off. You know what? I can handle turning it off on my own. You can just sit and watch. You know what this setting probably is for the timer. Maybe you flip it here and the radio's under timer control. So big whopper there, and it's right back in the same kind of non-state. something like this. Try another band. Okay, so we'll try the medium wave. Oh, we already did the medium wave. The long wave. Wow. Same funny squawk there. What could we possibly pick up down here? Turn on the... Yeah, maybe I kind of forgot about that while I was doing that other fiddling. Switch off. What happened there? 0.4. Oh yeah, we're right up at the top of the long wave band. Not moving. What's that? That sounds like the when the radio realizes I'm not turning this. It's attempting something, and that chunk is the attempt. What happened to this guy up here? Did I turn him off again? I guess I did. I probably bumped it or something, or who knows. Losing my mind. There we are. Yeah, that chunky sound is this thing being activated, I think. Back to shortwave. This is neat. It's really neat. Now that sounds okay. Not much volume. That sounds like radio noise. We should pick stuff up down here too. Nothing really. Let's check something out here. Okay, so it's just possible there is nothing on shortwave to pick up. We're going to take a shot with this radio. It's another bit of a long shot. Put the just use the whip antenna here, and we want to go up on band 2. Band 2.
Is really the greatest thing I'll never get. Why? Because they're hard to know.
It's around, let's look, it says 10 here, but it's probably 9.8 or something. Up around 15. That's really enough. What that proves is there are things to be picked up, and this is just with this whip antenna. And this is a nice radio, by the way, but it shouldn't be competing with this one. This guy's not picking anything up. He's not picking anything up. And one last shot here. Have I for sure got the antenna connected? For sure. So Up around 15. I'll try WWV first. I didn't hear it on the other radio, but definitely not there. What are the chances that the whip antenna is not the antenna? Nil. No chance. Okay. So, generally, that's a pretty good... Oh, wait, looking up there. Look down here. That's a pretty good showing, actually. To this point, the radio does work. One band doesn't seem to work. I wouldn't even be sure of that yet. Some alignment thing going on here. Not sure what to make of that. There's this come and go situation. I'm not sure what to make of that. They're repairing the speaker here, considering that the speaker's functioning and it doesn't seem to have gone out of alignment. I'm getting the impression I can probably put something in here, glue it in there, and kind of get that sealed up again with some flexible material. I'm pretty sure you can get these speakers rebuilt on the internet, and all they've done is just replace the surround, of course. And you got to pay some money for that. FM worked really good, sounded really good. I think this is probably a really good sounding radio once it's working. And you know what, even if the internal power supply doesn't work, you can always come up, I can always come up with a wall wart power supply, a 9-volt wall wart, and just use it into the battery pack, similar to what I'm doing now with this power supply over yonder. So the potential of this radio, I think it's got really good potential. If we can just sort out a few things, be almost working like new. Okay, I think that's it for today. That's far better than I expected. My earlier preliminary investigation led me to think, along with some information that others have looked at this radio and decided that it was beyond repair or something like that, or just go buy a new one. I don't think that's the case. These radios are working really well. They are worth a lot of money. A lot of money. Great. Well, thanks for watching this. A little bit of a long video. But I had to get through to a certain point so I can go away and think today. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.